So my other question is about this 4-year-old that was hit by a dirt bike yesterday. The NYPD said they were cracking down on dirt bikes and ATVs, and in the council there is a proposal to increase fines. What else can be done to curb the use of illegal ATVs and dirt bikes? And mind you, this wasn't on a street, but rather in a parking lot, but still a 4-year-old is in critical condition.
It's a real serious issue, and my heart goes out as a parent to that family, and we're hoping and praying for the best for that 4-year-old. Samantha, look, this is something that does not belong in New York City. It's the law, but it's also common sense. They just don't belong in New York City. NYPD has been very aggressive. Years ago, they confiscated a huge number of them and crushed them to make a point. They did that again a few months ago. They'll keep doing that. We need community members to help us find where they're being kept so we can get them, seize them. If one's out there, it's immediately illegal. It's just not allowed in New York City. And we will destroy them, literally, and send a message to people. I do agree with increasing the fines, too. I think people just need to understand there's going to be lots of consequences here. So I would absolutely support efforts to increase the fines. I think if we keep doing all those things, it's going to make a real difference.
We have time for 2 more for today. The next is Reuven Blau from the city.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for taking my question.
How you doing, Reuven?
Good. How are you?
Good, man.
So 89 NYCHA playgrounds, more than 1 out of 10 citywide, are currently closed to the public because they're just unsafe. And we actually showed an expert some pictures of some of the ones that are actually still open. And he suggested that they're so badly dated and in bad shape that they should literally just be buried at sea. And also many of the spots that have been closed just don't even have public deadlines for completion. So my question is that when you ran for office, you pledged to close the Tale of Two Cities gap, but the playground issue at NYCHA has actually just gotten worse since you've been in office. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's a real important issue. I'm glad you raised it, and I thank you for raising it. The bottom line is we got to do better. NYCHA's got to do better. Look, we all understand that during the year plus of COVID, a lot got put on hold. We understand that. There was a lot of work that would have happened otherwise that really would have helped that had to wait because we had to freeze a huge number of projects. But the bottom line is we need these playgrounds fixed. We've made a huge amount of investments through our Parks Department in communities that didn't get their fair share. So talk about addressing the Tale of Two Cities. We had a whole equity vision for parks, which led to a lot of money going where it was needed most and providing much better parks in communities that need it. But we got to do that in NYCHA too. Obviously, in recent weeks, you've seen the new basketball courts that have been unveiled in NYCHA developments. It's been a great effort working with the NYPD and charitable foundations. But we got to just keep doing more. So I'm glad you raised the playgrounds. I'm going to be following up at NYCHA. We need a systematic effort to make them good, make them positive for our kids. And we need a plan, a timeline, the whole 9 yards. A lot of improvements have happened in NYCHA on the most urgent issues. Obviously, the health and safety issues in the buildings have been where we've had to put our #1 focus. NYCHA's proven that when you give them resources, they can make something happen. But we got to get this to happen now. Go ahead, Reuven.
Just following up on that, you talk about a plan. What would that plan look like? How soon would you put something out? And also, federal guidelines indicate that any playground that is dated beyond 1991 needs to be just totally revamped because the structures are unsafe. Are you willing to say now that any playground that NYCHA has that's past 1991 needs to be just totally overhauled?
It's a fair question, but I need to get all the facts from NYCHA, including about the federal law. And what I want is a plan that says, okay, here are the playgrounds that need work, here's the timeline, here's the resources and how we'll apply them. I want to make sure in our time here, in these next months, that we nail down a plan to address this issue once and for all.
The last question for today goes to Andrew Siff from WNBC.
Mayor, good morning, and everyone on the call. I hope you can hear me okay.
Hey, Andrew, how you doing today?
Good. I was wondering, what do you think of the American Association of Pediatrics strongly recommending masking for all students 2 and up this fall, and whether that comes across to people who just watched the parade you threw for frontline workers and summer of New York and 4th of July and everything's over, and now they hear masks this fall. They hear Councilman Levine saying we want a mask mandate. Are New Yorkers getting two sets of messages here?
No, absolutely not. From day one, we said kids will wear masks in schools for the whole school year we just had. We said for months and months, kids will be wearing masks in the new school year. It's indoors. It's a lot of people together. Outdoors versus indoors. Andrew, you've been covering this story nonstop. Night and day. As Dr. Choksi said, there is still going to be a focus on indoor settings where you need a mask, schools, hospitals, various settings that just make sense and always have. So no, there's no contradiction there at all. Go ahead, Andrew.
On the issue of it, we know that this has been characterized as a pandemic of the unvaccinated at this point. But I wonder the degree to which, and maybe Dr. Choksi can address this, how closely are we watching the so-called breakthrough cases, and are we seeing an uptick in the number of fully vaccinated people who are testing positive?
As I turn to Dr. Choksi, because this question has been a very fair question, it's been asked a number of times, and Dr. Choksi and other healthcare leaders have said consistently, no, we're not seeing a major problem there at all. We're seeing a humongous problem with unvaccinated people. Dr. Choksi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And that's right. The Delta variant, as we've said, presents the greatest risk for people who are unvaccinated. We do know from data around the world and in the United States to some degree that there is a slightly higher rate of breakthrough infections associated with the Delta variant as well. However, it's very important to distinguish breakthrough infections from breakthrough disease. The outcomes that we most care about, particularly hospitalization and death, the evidence thus far, the science indicates that all of the authorized vaccines that are currently in use in the United States continue to offer strong protection, not just against the Delta variant, but all of the variants that are currently circulating in New York City.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line, Andrew, and as we conclude today, the vaccine, beyond our wildest dreams, has had a profound impact, saving lives, keeping people from the worst impacts. If you're vaccinated, you are safer, period. If you're not vaccinated, you are vulnerable. The breakthrough cases have been few, but also, as Dr. Choksi said, with minimal impact. This is as clear as it could be. Bottom line, anyone out there, if you're not yet vaccinated, or anyone in your life is not yet vaccinated, we need you to do this now. It is free, it is everywhere. Get vaccinated and help us move forward. Thank you, everybody.